So it honestly seems like gamers just can't stop taking W's over the last 30 days. I mean, it is absolutely insane to see the amount of L's that the modern audience has been taking. But now, apparently, a company that is heavily, and I mean heavily, against gamers, a company that I have reported on, I think a couple of times within this year, apparently TakeThis.org, the propaganda machine, has failed so hard, government funding couldn't even sustain them, and now they're on the verge of getting shut down.
Bye, Felicia.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, TakeThis.org, a company notorious for being heavily against gamers and trying to make everything seem as if it's gamers' fault, they are on the verge of being shut down. They're also governmentally funded, which is something we've spoken about in the past, but apparently that wasn't enough to save them. It just goes to show that with all the money in the world, with all the resources in the world, if gamers reject something, that's it. You're fucked. So let's get into this article, guys, from SmashJT.com. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. It says, TakeThis.org propaganda failed so hard that even government funding couldn't sustain them. The game world is healing. TakeThis.org, the beyond controversial organization that's long portrayed itself as the mental health advocate in the gaming community, is on the brink of shutting down. This is without a doubt one of the most positive developments the gaming industry has seen in recent years. The tide is turning. I'm not going to mince words. TakeThis.org has long been a thorn in the side of gamers everywhere. Earlier this year, they infamously penned an article responding to Gamergate 2, blaming gamers everywhere for the industry's supposed problems. Now, again, this company has been against gamers for a long time, okay? And the fact that they're finally getting their due justice is amazing to see, and I'm glad that I'm here for it to be able to even make this video and share the information with you guys. But yes, I remember this article where they tried to write, look at this, responding to Gamergate 2.0. They did this in March 11th of 2024, where they essentially tried to lie to everybody who looks at their stuff about Gamergate. Now, again, they wouldn't even recognize Gamergate 2, right? When this whole thing first started, they tried to say that, oh, Gamergate 2 is not real. Gamergate 2 is not a thing. That's just a small group minority online that are trying to relive the days of Gamergate 1 and trying to say that now it's Gamergate 2. Well, all of a sudden, a couple of months later, suddenly they're okay with admitting that Gamergate 2 is fucking real. Of course they are, because again, a conspiracy theory just means that you're going to be right 6 months later and you just got to wait it out. It says, stating the comical beg for money and handouts, they say the following: hate, harassment, and toxic behavior have no place in games. By taking direct targeted action in a timely manner, we can mitigate further harm to talented, dedicated folks in games and help prevent additional recurrences of these harmful events. Again, what harm has happened? They never have any proof. They never tell you because nothing ever happens, right? All this harm and bullshit they try to talk about, nothing ever happens because it's not harassment, it's not hate, and it's not toxic behavior. You know what it is? It's fucking trolling. That's what it is. It's just making fun of people and telling the truth about what they're doing. They don't like that you're telling the truth about how they act, what they do, and what they say. They want to be able to say whatever the fuck they want to say because they're used to controlling a narrative for the last 8 to 10 years, and now they're losing it. I say it all the time. They have lost the control of the narrative, and they are desperate to try to gain it back. And because they don't have it, they don't know what to do. They used to be able to go on Twitter and say whatever, and basically any dissenting opinion would be censored, but they don't even have that now. All they have is their own private discords that are not going to be able to be used to indoctrinate people who aren't already part of their discord. So they have no means to be able to push the mainstream narrative anymore, aside from their garbage ass websites that nobody uses unless they're just getting roasted. Then it says, but the reality is clear. This rhetoric always been more about pushing a divisive narrative than fostering any genuine mental health support. They are the definition of a company that manufactures a problem in order to complain to the government to get money and justify their existence. Bro, that is literally like every consultancy firm. You know what I mean? Like in terms of DEI consultancy, DEI consultancy is a mega grift. I mean, it's an insane amount of money that is available for that particular service, and it's a service that is basically there because it's made up, right? Like, they create issues just so they can be the ones that create the solution. That way they get paid for it. TakeThis.org's reliance on playing the victim card has been evident in their desperate plea for funding. They paint themselves as alone saviors against the so-called bad actors in the gaming community, attempting to convince governments such as the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, yes, you read that correctly, to fund their operations to the tune of upwards of $700,000 to help fight against evil gamers. Where did the money go? So, you know what's crazy? There, aside from DEI consultancy firms, there are a bunch of corporations out there that are specifically there to combat what they claim to be a violent, extremist, terroristic behavior from gamers, right? And they try to do this. They try to say that gaming communities are fostering terrorism, which is fucking wild. And again, they say this because they're trying to paint gamers in a specific light. Now, I have heard stories of terrorists using World of Warcraft, for example, and this is a really old story, but using World of Warcraft to try to recruit people. And whether that was true or not, I don't know. I know it's a super old story, but they've been trying to do this for a long time, so it's not shocking that they continue to do this, even though people have already seen through their facade. It says that despite receiving this insane amount of funding, they're still somehow running out of money. Why? Because their mission isn't about supporting the gaming community. It's always been about pushing a self-serving agenda under the guise of mental health advocacy, and please give me more money. Yeah, the money was probably spread across the 5 board members, let's be real, and they all pocketed it and ran away with it. TakeThis.org has repeatedly shown that they are willing to go out their way to demonize gamers, painting us as the core problem rather than acknowledging the broader, more complex issues facing the industry. Their earlier article on Gamergate 2 is just one of the many examples of their approach, which involves blaming gamers while sidestepping any meaningful or real actual dialogue. I mean, isn't that what they all do, though? Like, every single mainstream shill, they're out there talking about how everybody else except for them are in an echo chamber, and then when they get invited for a conversation, they're like, well, I'm not going to talk to you. You're bad faith. It's like, okay, so you're actually in an echo chamber, right? The people who don't want to talk to people who disagree with them, you are in an echo chamber, not us. We advocated for the conversation, and you have refused it time and time again. I get refused all the time. I invite people all the time, and I either get the runaround or I get refused because people don't actually want to get their worldview challenged. They don't even want to open themselves up to the possibility, right? They're so stuck in their own personal ideology, their own personal echo chamber, that the mere thought of changing it or even bringing in a different point of view, not only to them, but their viewers, if they're content creators, is mind-boggling to them. They can't bring themselves to do it. So they'll come up with, let me look at this fucking creature. They'll come up with every excuse possible just so they don't have to have a conversation. It says, but now, in a delightful turn of events, they're facing their own existential crisis. In a press release, Executive Director Dr. Rafael Bocamazzo tweeted out a plea for $80,000 by the end of September to keep their doors open. $80,000 for what? So again, man, I don't know what the fuck they're going to try to do to try to keep this company alive. I'm sure there's going to be some woke investor out there that is probably going to save them. If they have till September, I mean, it is September right now. Maybe they mean till the end of the month, but they got only 20 some odd days to try to pull in $80,000. How are they going to do it? I have no idea. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.